Belfiore. I'm the band director here at Mifflin County High School and down the hill at Mifflin County Junior High. On behalf of all the students who will be performing for you this evening, it's my pleasure to welcome you to our annual Mifflin County School District Jazz Festival. I have a few announcements before we begin. First is that tonight's concert is being recorded, and to help maintain the integrity of that recording, I would ask that you please turn off or silence all cell phones at this time, and thank you for doing so. Also, please do not wave or shout at students while they're performing, and please avoid all flash photography. Please avoid loud talking or movement during the performance. That will affect the recording. And please enter or exit the auditorium only between songs and only through the doors in the rear of the auditorium. If you'd like to purchase a copy of the recording, you may do so in the auditorium lobby at the conclusion of tonight's performance. And this spring we have two formats. There's a digital download or a CD, and either one is $10. And also at a jazz concert, it's a little bit different. There are going to be soloists in some, if not most of the songs, and it is appropriate for you to applaud at the conclusion of each person's solo to show your appreciation. And now, would you please welcome to the stage Mrs. Samantha Gates, Mr. Adam Wellwood, and the Mifflin County Middle School Jazz Band.
Good evening, and thank you for coming out this evening to support the jazz programs here at the Mifflin County School District. My name is Samantha Gates. I'm the band director at Mifflin County Middle School. And tonight, you're going to see me conduct two songs, and we were fortunate enough to have a student teacher again this spring, Mr. Adam Wellwood, and you'll see him conduct two songs as well. Adam just graduated last Saturday with a Bachelor's of Music Education and Music Education from the Pennsylvania State University, and so we're very excited to have him back with us. He's a very strong jazz musician, and I know the students learned a lot with him. So without further ado, I'm going to turn the stage over to him to conduct the first song, Groove Bug.
Good evening. As you may know, our first tune is Groove Bug by Michael Sweeney. Soloists that are featured will be Amy Lynn Navarro on bari sax and Josie Sutherland on trumpet. Thank you. Hope you enjoy.
Our next song for the evening is going to be Bluesberry Pie by Andy Clark. The program may be out of order because I had originally planned to put this later in the concert, but it features our very sax players, as well as giving Mr. Wellwood a chance to kind of demonstrate for our students where you can go with improv and jazz. So Mr. Wellwood is going to take a solo on alto sax as well. Please enjoy Bluesberry Pie. Our next number for the evening is called Oceanside and is composed and arranged by Bryce Newton. It is a beginning chart, but it's full of a lot of sound and a lot of trying to get you to visualize things like maybe a beach. Maybe if you're a person that likes to go to the beach, the sand between your toes. If you're not, just something relaxing and calm. And we have 4 soloists in this song tonight. We have Emma Pierce on flute, Brenna Bickle on mellophone, Jonas Kovendorfer on alto saxophone, and Ida Beth Bishop on baritone. So I'm going to move some mics around so you can actually hear them, and we will be ready to start with you. Please enjoy Oceanside by Bryce Newton. Before we welcome Mr. Melwood back up to the conductor's area, we have a couple thank yous to make. We have a couple guest musicians on stage with us this evening. So first I'd like to thank them. In the wind section, we have Summer Smith playing bass clarinet, and Joshua Gates playing baritone saxophone for us, and they're both giving up their time, even though they have other schoolwork and other classes to do, to be here to help us out. So let's give them a round of applause. And then over here in the rhythm section, we have Mrs. Katie Becker, who is a 6th grade general music teacher and the 6th grade choir director at the middle school, who is very graciously agreed to play piano for I don't even know how many years anymore, but she deserves a round of applause as well. And back in the back, he's standing up. Most people know him because he is just that kind of a person. It's Mr. Mark Baylor, who is playing bass for us, but he does a little bit of everything and does it very, very well. Without him, programs like this and programs that you see in the concert settings here in Mifflin County would not happen, because he really is a jack of all trades and master of all of them. So if we give him a round of applause, please. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Arthur Belfiore for inviting us to come and perform here. This is one of my favorite concerts to play at because it's just a nice relaxed vibe, and we get to play some stuff that is not typical of concert band genres, I guess. So I really enjoy this concert, so we appreciate the invite every year. Also, we'd like to thank our administration in the school district, Mr. Vance Varner, who's our superintendent, along with the school board, for continuing to support music in the school district, and our administrators, Mrs. Jen McNair and Mr. Luke Strasser, who, even though our concert was Tuesday, still let me have a rehearsal with them this morning so that they would have all the final reminders and be ready for tonight. So can we give our administrators a round of applause, please? And I'm sure you'll hear many more thank yous and probably some duplicates, so I feel like our time would be, it's time for us to kind of close our portion of the concert with Enter Sandman, and Mr. Adam Elwood will be taking the conducting podium again.
first heard this next group performing at the Music Boosters Holiday Expo last November. And I enjoyed their performance so much, I asked them if they would like to perform at tonight's concert. And of course, they said yes. Caleb and Nora arranged a piece of music that they're playing. So would you please welcome to the stage the Breakfast Club. They'll be playing Satin Doll, which is a Duke Ellington and Billy Strayhorn classic piece of jazz music. Here's the Breakfast Club. Hey, Matt.
Yes.
Mark says his phone should be on. Recording. Talk quietly amongst yourselves.
It's not. It's in the lock mode.
It's locked.
112727.
What was it? 111?
112727.
Those are not the nuclear codes. I knew something would happen tonight that has never happened before. That's it. Are we good?
Trying to find the camera.
This is where I would tell a joke, but I don't have any good jokes to tell. So while we're waiting for I'll introduce the first song. We're going to start our portion of the performance tonight with an original composition by Phil Lowen, entitled Storming the Gates. I first met Phil, well, first off, Phil was band director at Sutherland Huntington High School for over 20 years. He and his wife, Joan, live in town. I first met Phil in 1977 when I was a freshman at Penn State University. We were in the blue band together. Phil is a fabulous musician. He's a great teacher, and he's an absolutely awesome composer. The soloists in this piece are Mr. Adam Wellwood on alto sax, Mr. Mark Baylor on trombone, and Bailey Cullen on drum set. Are we good to go, Matt?
We are.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Phil Lone, who's out there somewhere. Stand up, Phil. Next, we'd like to play an Oliver Nelson tune titled Mifflin. Soloists are on bass guitar, Ben Snyder, on trumpet, Reese Bennett, on piano, Emma Miller, and on drum set again, Bailey Cohen. like to arrange something for the big band. So I asked him to arrange a ballad. And after a little while, he said, well, do you have any ideas? I said, why don't you arrange my favorite ballad, Autumn Leaves? So this is a Caleb Noor arrangement of the Jimmy Kozman, Mercer, and Prevert tune, Autumn Leaves. Next, we'd like to perform another original composition by Mike Camiff, entitled The Goodness Box. Soloists are Dana Ziders on tenor sax, Reese Hine on alto sax, Ben Snyder again on bass guitar, Bailey Cullen again on drum set, and Marquise Yannick on the congas. you look at my jazz collection, I've got Oliver Nelson and Miles Davis. They are a good portion of my jazz CD collection. So we're going to do a piece entitled Milestones. This is arranged by Paul Murtha, and this is what I call Reese's piece because our soloists are Reese Bennett on trumpet and Reese Hine on alto sax. Arrangement is again by Paul Murtha, and our soloists are again Reese Bennett on trumpet, Caleb Knorr on trombone, Emma Miller on piano, and we have Marquise on congas and Rain on the triangle. Before we perform our last selection for the evening, there are some people on stage that I need to acknowledge. The first group of two students are the two students who represented Mifflin County High School at the District 4 Jazz Festival, which was held at Juniata High School in February. And they are, Nathan Banks on guitar and Caleb Noor on trombone. I also want to thank Mr. Baylor for taking them to Juniata High School, as I was out of town and unable to do so. So let's give Mr. Baylor a round of applause. I'd like to recognize our guest musicians, and I'm doing this in a specific order. In the front row, we have Mrs. Cassidy Mills on tenor sax. We have Mr. Mark Baylor on trombone. We have Mrs. Gates on trumpet. And sitting up front, next to Mrs. Mills, is Mr. Adam Wellwood on alto sax. He brought his fan club with him. Mr. Wellwood was Mrs. Gates' student teacher this past spring, and last weekend he graduated with his Bachelor's of Music Education degree from Pennsylvania State University. In your program somewhere is a list of Music Booster patrons. I would encourage you to patronize them as frequently as you can. They are really good to us. We have a lot of community support, and a lot of businesses, large and small, support the music program here every year. So if you have the opportunity, I encourage you to please patronize them. I would also like to thank the central administration of the school district and the administrators in all three buildings, the middle school, the junior high, and here at the high school. We have tremendous administrative support. So if you see an administrator, tell them thank you for their continued support of the program. I'd also like to, if you look on the back page of the program, I'd like to thank the faculty and staff who allow students to come out for lessons. I'd like to thank the music boosters who do a wonderful job supporting the program. I'd like to thank the instrumental music teachers. I'd also like to thank Mr. Baylor. He's doing the recording, he's playing piano, he plays bass, he's playing trombone. And I say this at every concert, and it's true, and I mean it. He is a jack of all trades, and he truly is a master of all of them. So put your hands together for our The last large group of people that I need to thank are you folks here in the audience, the parents, guardians, family members, and friends of all the students who performed for you this evening. Without your continued support, events like tonight's concert would not be possible. So, all of the musicians back there in the audience who have performed tonight, and folks on stage, put your hands together for these people. And finally, there are two more people that I need to thank. The first is my longtime colleague, Vicki Fensterbush, who's the choir director here at Mifflin County High School. We've been teaching together for 25 years, and she has helped me with everything from the mundane, like I would go in her office and say, Vicki, how do I get my computer to do that? Please help. She's helped with everything from things like that to helping me to become a better teacher. So Vicki, thank you very much. It truly has been an honor to work with you these 25 years. And the last person is my wife, Pauline, and she is a person who gets the least amount of recognition but deserves the most credit. She has been standing with me, beside me, for a lot of years since we first started dating in 1998, and I am a better teacher because she has helped make me a better person. So thank you, Pauline. I love you very much. And now on to the students' favorite song. They tell me that you are going to enjoy this so much that you are going to run out into the auditorium and buy a CD or a digital download. I hope they're right. This is a song that was recorded by Louis Jordan called Choo 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 Chibookie. Our soloists are on guitar, Nathan Banks, then Reese Hine, and then Nathan Banks again. Here is Choo Choo Chibookie. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out tonight. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you very much.